When you hear Taiwan, you probably think of amazing food, bustling night markets, maybe world-leading tech. But there's one world #1 title Taiwan holds that nobody wants to celebrate. And it's a real head-scratcher. How can a place with a globally praised, super advanced medical system also have the highest rate of kidney dialysis on the entire planet? It just doesn't seem to add up. So let's dive in and solve this mystery, starting with just how big this problem really is. The number is just staggering. Over 90,000 people. To put that into perspective, that's roughly 1 out of every 200 people in Taiwan whose life literally depends on being hooked up to a machine several times a week. You see dialysis centers everywhere, in almost every neighborhood. It's become a fact of life.
But here's where it gets really puzzling. The vast majority of these patients, they're from the older generation. You know, people who grew up eating simple, traditional meals, not fast food. So if it isn't the burgers and fries, what on earth is causing this epidemic? Well, the first clue is hiding right on their dinner plates.
Okay, so our investigation starts with the most obvious suspect, food. But the real culprit isn't what you might think. The danger's been hiding in plain sight this whole time, right in the middle of a traditional meal. The real enemy here wasn't modern junk food. It was salt. And this goes way back. See, before refrigerators were a thing, using a ton of salt was the only way to preserve food. That created a taste for really salty things, a culinary habit that's just been passed down from one generation to the next.
And you see these habits everywhere. Think about a simple bowl of rice porridge. What goes with it? Salty pickled veggies, savory fermented tofu, maybe a piece of salted fish. Or think about those beloved braised dishes, just swimming in rich, salty soy sauce. And a really common habit, especially for the older generation, drinking every last drop of the soup from a noodle bowl, not realizing they're downing a massive, massive dose of sodium.
So what does all that salt actually do? Well, it kicks off this really nasty, vicious cycle. Your body takes in way too much salt, so it holds onto water to try and dilute it. That extra water increases your blood volume, which jacks up your blood pressure. And that constant high pressure is like a battering ram against your kidney's tiny, delicate filters, just wearing them down day after day, year after year. But salt isn't the only bad guy hiding in the food. There's also phosphorus. Now, when your kidneys get weak, they can't filter out phosphorus properly. It builds up and causes all sorts of nasty stuff. We're talking intense skin itching, brittle bones, just awful problems. And here's the kicker. Phosphorus is often found in things people think are super healthy, especially things popular with the elderly, like those long-simmered bone broths or the powdered nut and grain drinks they have for wellness. So diet is one huge piece of the puzzle, but it gets even more complicated when we look past the dinner plate and into the medicine cabinet. It's not just what people eat, but also what they take for their health. You know how people have chronic aches and pains? Well, a lot of people turn to common over-the-counter painkillers, things called NSAIDs. For a headache now and then, they're fine, but a really common habit is to pop them every single day, almost like a vitamin, and that is so dangerous. Over the long run, these drugs can actually reduce blood flow to the kidneys, slowly but surely starving the organ and causing serious damage over time. And this ties into a really dangerous belief, a myth that has had absolutely tragic consequences for so many people. It's the idea that if something is natural or herbal, it must be safe. It can't hurt you, right? Well, that couldn't be more wrong. I mean, look no further than aristolactic acid. This stuff is a powerful, straight-up kidney poison that was found in some traditional herbs, often used in unregulated remedies or weight loss products. Before it was finally banned, it caused complete, irreversible kidney failure in so many unsuspecting people. The damage was done, and for them, it's a life sentence on dialysis. So, while these dietary and medication habits are huge risk factors, they often just pour fuel on an even bigger fire. The single most powerful engine driving people toward dialysis today, it's the explosion of modern chronic diseases. And the numbers here are they're undeniable. Take a look. Almost half of all new dialysis patients in Taiwan land there because of one single underlying condition, diabetes. It is, without a doubt, the #1 kidney killer of our time.
Diabetes and high blood pressure are the absolute dream team of kidney destruction. Think of it this way. The high blood sugar from diabetes is like corrosive sugar water, slowly eating away at the kidney's delicate blood vessels. At the same time, high blood pressure, often fueled by that salty diet we talked about, acts like a sledgehammer, just pounding on the kidney's arteries until they harden and fail. With over 10% of adults dealing with diabetes and more than half of seniors with hypertension, the deck is seriously stacked against the kidneys.
So we've got the diet, the self-medication, the chronic diseases, but now we come to the biggest plot twist in this whole story, a factor that you would never, ever guess is part of the problem: Taiwan's incredible world-class healthcare system. And here it is, the central paradox laid bare. The reason the number of dialysis patients is so incredibly high is in part because the system is so unbelievably good at keeping them alive. It is a crisis that was literally born from its own success. Look at this timeline. Back in 1995, Taiwan's national health insurance started covering dialysis for everyone. It became affordable, accessible. Before that, if your kidneys failed and you couldn't pay, you were just out of luck. But after 1995, the numbers just exploded. The rate more than tripled because for the first time, everyone who needed life-saving treatment could actually get it. And this creates something called the accumulation effect. Think of it like a bathtub. You've got the faucet on, constantly pouring new patients into the tub. The drain is for patients who either pass away or get a transplant. But because the quality of care is so fantastic, patients live for decades. So the drain is just a tiny trickle, while the faucet is a steady stream. Every single year, the water level in that tub just gets higher and higher. And the biggest reason that drain is basically clogged, it's the transplant bottleneck. A transplant is the only real cure, the only true exit ramp. But the gap between need and reality it's a canyon. For every 10,000 people who start dialysis in a year, only about 300 will be lucky enough to get a new kidney, mostly due to a tragic shortage of organ donors. So for over 95% of patients, this creates a one-way street. Once you start dialysis, that's it. It's not a temporary fix. It becomes your life forever. There's no off-ramp. So there you have it, the whole picture. This unwanted world #1 title isn't because of any single thing. It's a perfect storm. You've got a traditional diet with hidden poisons, risky habits with medicine, a tidal wave of diabetes and high blood pressure, and then the ultimate paradox, a healthcare system so good it keeps everyone alive, combined with a tragic transplant shortage that offers no way out. Now, this whole story is a huge warning, but the most important takeaway is that you have power here. Protecting your own kidneys really comes down to controlling the things you can control. That means watching the salt, being smart about your diet, keeping your blood pressure and blood sugar in check, and for goodness sake, only using medicine the way your doctor tells you to. In the end, Taiwan has built one of the best safety nets for kidney failure in the entire world. No question. But that leaves us all with one final crucial question to think about. Is it enough to just have a great safety net? Or should we all be doing a lot more to make sure we never have to use it in the first place?